about being a Black woman in like spaces where, you know, you're partying in Toronto or you're with, you know, people of higher status or who have higher careers, whether that's athletes, celebrities, artists, whatever. And then after we recorded that podcast and Nisa was on, Nisa and I went out, right, to a bar in Toronto because my friend invited us, right? So it was fine. We went to the bar. And then Nisa ran into a man that she knew. And, you know, she was like, oh, like, you know, we just got back from recording a podcast. You know, this is my friend. Her name is Zoe. She's a podcast, you know, and one of the topics we were talking about was going out in Toronto and, you know, being a Black woman and, you know, so I'm kind of having that feeling of kind of, not, I don't want to say being an outcast, but, you know, when people...
You feel othered.
Sometimes you do feel othered, right? Because she was seeing the venue that we were at kind of just the contrast between the white girls in the party compared to the Black girls in the party, right? So she was bringing that up to him. And then he made a comment saying, well, you know, that happens because a lot of guys feel that Black women are unapproachable. And I was like, well, why do you feel that Black women are unapproachable? And he goes, you know, well, in Toronto, you know, the Toronto guys are, you know, how a lot of guys are in general. They just feel like some guys want to approach Black women, but they feel like Black women are unapproachable. And to me, and it's weird because I've been practicing myself not to get in defense mode.
Yep.
And I always get in defense mode with that stuff, but I also don't want to feed into that stereotype of Black women always in defense mode. So
angry Black woman. Yeah,
initially, I wanted to go on defense mode with this guy.
Yeah.
But I'd say, you know what, Zoe, relax. You know, you're in a bar, you're in a public space, just chill. So I was like, well, why do you feel like that?
Yeah.
Because Black women...
I'm curious too, why.
Why would you think that that's a thing? He's like, well, I don't think that. I just know that other guys think that, you know, white girls are easier to talk to. They're usually, you know, more approachable. They're usually more friendly. And I was just like...
I expressed something along those lines last episode. Not quite like that, though, you know.
But it just does...
This is something
that notion just still does not make any sense to me, that Black men still think that Black women are unapproachable. Like, what is so unapproachable about us?
You know what? I like what we're talking about, like what you're bringing up. What I think it is. I think it's more about control. You know, I think in power. I think men feeling like they're in control and like they're powerful in a relationship. Just men in general. And I think they kind of look at white women more submissively, like they won't challenge them as much. They feel like a white woman will shut up and kind of let them be how they be. You
Just
know?
Off rip, even?
I think even if you don't consciously think about this, it's like in their head subconsciously, in the back of their head. Like, you know, a Black woman would keep you on point or would call certain things out with you, you know, more than a white woman would. And power and control, you know, and I guess that's the vibe that they get, you know. They couldn't, you know, manipulate or like tell a Black girl what to do. So they feel like, oh, I can't approach this girl, you know? It's
that bothered me a little bit.
It bothers me hearing it. It's almost, it feels like when guys say you're intimidating. Have you ever been told that?
All the time.
I'm sure you get told
all
that
the time. I've been told that I was intimidating. People tell me all the time that I'm intimidating and that when they first met me, they were scared of me and they didn't know how to talk to me. But it's like, I mean, I can have a natural resting bitch face. That's just, sometimes I have that, especially when I'm out. I can have like a natural resting because sometimes when I'm out, I'm just like, bro, like I'm annoyed. These bitches are annoying. Like it's hot in here. You know, my feet hurt.
I see the tweet saying a girl said, I have resting. Oh, so you talk to white girls' face.
I mean, it's not even that, but it's even funny because last time I went out, literally a few days ago or like the weekend that just passed, same thing. We went out with some guys and we were going to another club a little bit later and just like all these, I'll say, non-Black women were just like pushing to get to the front, pushing, holding these guys' hands, grabbing them. And I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? So, and my friend was trying, I'm like, oh, like, come up here. I'm like, bro, I'm not coming up here. If I'm getting in, I'm getting in. If I'm not, I'm going the fuck home. And I did get in. That's fine. And then another guy was like, yo, why is your face like that? I'm like, bro, because these girls are pushing me. They're stepping on my fucking feet. They're yelling in my ear. I'm fucking annoyed.
That's what I mean.
So that's why my face is like that.
And they want you to be happy, you know? They want you to feel like even like, oh, they're in my presence, you know? Like, and this is kind of why I think like the power and control, like they almost want, like a white girl would put on a show for that, you know? Be like, oh my God, you're this and so and so.
Like I'm not hopping on your back and holding your hand to walk into the club and pushing other girls to get in. Like, no.
Also just on the intimidation thing, like I feel like it's very like hand in hand, these two things, like, oh, Black women are unapproachable or, you know, that woman's intimidating. I think they're meaning the same thing when they say it. It's what they're saying. Like, ladies, if a man says that you're intimidating, what he's saying is
he doesn't have enough balls for you.
Not even that. It's just what he normally does. He feels like whatever he normally does to make a woman get attracted to him or to pull a woman, he feels like whatever he would normally do wouldn't work with you. So that's intimidating. That's scary to him. That's like challenging, you know? That's what they mean. You're harder to pull. That's what they mean when you're intimidating.
But harder to pull does not mean unapproachable, and harder to pull does not mean bitch or intimidating.
Right?
I
spent a long time trying to get it.
Yeah, but I just think that trying to like dumb it down to say that black women are unapproachable, like that is never gonna sit right with me. I think that's very stupid, especially for a black man to say.
You must be like, you must lack some confidence, like if that's how you feel, you know?
And then what makes non-black women so approachable? That makes it easier to talk to them. Like, what is it?
The submissiveness. Like, you ever hear
So they're just naturally submissive off rip. They just give this submissive aura. Is that what it is?
I think it could be that, because there are certain races, like I've heard white guys, the way they express about Asian women, you know, like how they say Asian women are so submissive. I have a coworker who kind of tells me this, you know, like when dudes have their Asian fetish and they approach you with it and stuff, they're kind of like, oh, you know, so submissive and everything. Like that's the allure, I feel like. I don't, you know, I think all women are beautiful. I think that's weird too. I find power attractive.
So the attraction from men to women off rip is to gauge how submissive this woman can be.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that is something that a lot of men and a lot of men just find attractive. Submissiveness, power,
and
control.
black women do not give off submissiveness.
Well, they feel like a black woman. I think, you know, I think they probably feel like that a black woman would try and control them. That's a notion I've heard, you know, that they feel like, oh, you know, she's going to try and tell me what to do or something, but I need to tell her what to do, you know, and they might feel like there'll be a conflict there.
It's giving bitch.
Yeah, you know, like a lack of confidence. Like, just say you're a bitch, nigga. Like,
it's giving bitch, and I don't know how I feel about that, and I just don't like it. And like I said, I feel like I'm going to have plenty more stories now that, you know, Toronto's open and there's people to talk to, and this podcast is getting bigger and people want to bring up topics when they see me in public. But really, I just feel like that's
people want to talk about topics. Like, do people, oh, you said this, but
yeah. People all the time, people come in, oh, like you said this in your podcast, like blah, blah, blah. Like, how do you feel about it? And same shit that I say on here, I'm going to say in person. Yeah. Like my thoughts really haven't changed much unless someone opens a new can of worms in my brain. But
that's why this works, by the way, too. The authenticity. You can't really put on a show. You can't fake shit. You can't, you know, and you're yourself all the time. I think a lot of people, when the lights and the camera and everything and you press record, they can shift a little, especially if they know what they're saying is going to get put out there and people are going to start talking about it, right? So, you know, that authenticity is, I think, a lot of why people return to listen and why people like you and like hearing you talk, you know?
Yeah,
real.
And even with like
real ass bitch, give a fuck about it.
And even speaking about like even just like black women, and like the intimidating and